Hey, what's up, comic fans? Mr. Q Comics back with some more show and tell. All right, today I've got another box of CGC books back. This is all vintage books. I sent this out with the last haul I showed off of 25 modern books. I think this is 17 or 18 vintage books. Everything was sent off to the comic book presser as well to get cleaned and pressed and shipped off to CGC in his account. This came back a few days after my modern submission. So it's all mostly stuff I got last year and I showed off in hauls, picking up raw books on the road for work, a couple older books as well. So before I dive into it, guys, if you're a fan of these videos, do me a favor, go down below, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and let me know what you think. All right, we will start off with the only Marvel book I have back here. This is Tales of Suspense 42. This is from 1963. You have got Jack Kirby and Don Heck on the cover. Just a cool gold armor Iron Man book that I picked up years ago from a local shop that I thought was in pretty decent shape. Came back 5.0 off-white to white pages. Next, we will start off with some of the books I grabbed last year. I know I showed these off. I think a lot of these I got in the same haul, but we have got Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies Comics number 9. This is Leon Schlesinger on the cover. Really nice copy here. Came back at 3.5 off-white to white pages. It's from Dell 1942. Now, one of the reasons I sent a lot of these out, this collection that I got wasn't from a collection. It was all books I got from a shop, but from the same collection. You're going to see some chew mark here on the bottom. This one came out of 3.5, but a lot of them had it worse, and I wasn't sure how that was going to affect the grading. So I got these books cheap, so I sent a lot of them in just kind of to get that, a little education on how much that would affect things. So I was a little surprised. Things came back a little lower than I thought on some of them, but we will jump into the next book. We've got Walt Disney Comics and Stories number 23. This one came back a 1.8 cream to off-white pages. This is probably one of the lower grades I had. It's got some chew on the right. They did message me that this cover was barely hanging on and they didn't want to try and mess with the spine roll too much for fear of detaching the cover completely. So I'm glad they just kind of stop where they were at. But still can't be too upset with that. This one is a great cover. This one I was really surprised. I thought this one would be higher. I mean, it's got a little bit of chew mark, but we've got Walt Disney Comics and Stories 25, again from 1942. This one's a Walt Kelly cover. This one looks really nice, but the chew mark on the top edge, it goes all the way through from the front cover to the back cover. So they really dinged it hard. It's got a couple of faint water stains. It's got some tears along the staples, but still pretty nice looking 2.0 there. Off-white to white on those pages. And next we have got the one that came out absolutely beautifully. We've got issue 24. Again, Walt Kelly on the cover and art. This one came out really nice. 5.5 white pages. Not really any chew marks. You got some chipping on the top right edge, but really pleased with that one. That one is gorgeous. I think I found these probably fall time last year, September, something like that, and I got them all. A lot of these were like less than 20 bucks. All right, next, this one got dinged really hard. I posted this on Instagram. This is Animal Comics number 1. This is the first appearance of Pogo from Dell Comics, 1942. This one came back a 1.0 with white pages, which is crazy to me. Yeah, I can't imagine you see a lot of those, but really bad on the chew marks here. This goes all the way through the back. It's got a chunk missing out of the back, and I'll flip it around. It is a cool wraparound cover. Pretty good section of that bottom corner missing. Tape pull across the elephant's head. It's got some tears on the spine. You can see that chew mark coming all the way through. But man, this one had a wicked spine roll. They did a great job removing it. So I know it's a 1.0, but it is a pretty nice looking copy. I mean, the colors are gorgeous. You got the white pages. The corner chew doesn't bug me as much as some other defects you can get in these lower grades. I mean, for the most part, yeah, it's a big chunk missing, but it's not affecting the art. So not happy with the 1.0, was hoping it would be higher, but I'm happy with the presentation. It looks beautiful. All right, a lot of these are probably going to be sold off, either through my comic shop or through Golden Auctions. This one I am probably keeping. I found this in an antique shop, more of a indoor flea market last year. This vendor just had so much stuff, and he had cases with books locked in them that I don't think anyone looked at in years. And I found this in there. We've got Valor #1 from EC Comics. Off-white to white on the pages, came back a 6.0. I think I thought it might be a little bit higher, but wasn't sure. Really, really beautiful copy, though. This is from 1955. I think this is... It doesn't have the Comics Code Authority, but this is, like, I believe the second title they came out with after, they were forced to kind of change their direction. So, Valor #1. This is a very cool Wally Wood cover, and I always just loved Knights in Shining Armor, so that is probably one that will stay in my collection. All right, next we have got another Golden Age. We've got Shadow Comics, Volume 2, #2. This is from Street and Smith, 1942 as well. Cool giant ant cover. Vernon Green on the cover and art. This I got with all of those Disney books and the Animal Comics. This is one I ended up paying up for. It's in better shape than the others. 3.5 white pages, which I thought was pretty solid. This, got 2 copies of this, and I can't remember. I knew they were both similar. I can't remember which one came from where, but we got a copy of the classic Neil Adams cover of Batman 251, this classic Joker cover. I got one last year with all of these other books, and I had one from a couple years before, and I can't honestly remember which one I submitted, but this is about where I thought it would be. Came back a 4 or 5. A little disappointed in the page quality. Cream to off-white. Obviously hoping for at least off-white to white, but I can't complain about that. I knew it was going to be in that 4 or 5 range. So, again, just a phenomenal Neil Adams cover from DC, 1973. All right, let's get back to some Golden Age. Most of this is Golden Age. I've got a good stack of Superman books here. I think most of these, 3 of these, I think came from my hauls. Sorry, just 2 came from my hauls last year. We will start with Superman #19. This is just a cool cover from... Who did this cover? Jerry Siegel story, Jack Burnley on the cover. 2.0 white pages. Again, really bad on the chew marks, but presents really nice. The white pages is awesome. Again, Superman 19, DC 1942. That one seems to be pushing the limits of the case there. Really right up against the edge of it. All right, this one I remember showing off on Instagram as well. Just a really nice copy. I mean, a lot of these books I got from the shop on that haul were really rough, and like you can see, the 1.8, 2.0 range. But this one was in really nice shape. Superman 42. Again, I thought it might be a little bit higher, but really tough judging those lower grades for me and the mid grades. But Superman 42, DC 1946. This came back a 5.0 with white pages. So really beautiful there. Just presents really well. The colors pop. It's not, the white pages is really everything on these to me, especially for that white cover. Just gorgeous. Thought it might be closer to like a 6, but it can be tough for me to judge the middle grades here. All right, next, I remember getting this one. This was over COVID. My local shop had started, since no one could open up, they were doing doing Facebook live sales, and I think they did some on Instagram, then they switched to whatnot. So one of their live shows, I can't remember what platform, but I got this, and I'm sure I got it cheap because most people at that time were just chasing big Silver Age keys, and the Golden Age stuff people would put up on these live auctions just seemed to only have 2 or 3 people interested. So I think I got this at a great price, but it is Superman #57. This one has got Lois Lane on the cover as Superwoman, and it's got a full-page ad for Superboy #1. Wayne Boring on the cover and art. So 2.5 off-white pages. Again, this one's got some chew marks as well. Not as bad as the other ones, but I think this one I'll probably hold on to for the PC. I think that's just a super cool cover. So very happy with that one. And final Superman book. This one I remember I got years ago. I think I got it for less than $100. Superman 64. I found this in an antique store locally. 4.0 off-white pages on this. This is again Wayne Boring on the cover. Yeah, and this is kind of what I'm talking about presentation-wise. This one's got a lot of discoloration. It's got about a 1.5-inch spine split that's easier to see from the back. It's got some tears on the edges. So visually, to me, like that Animal Comics looks, to me, at least from the front. Obviously, it's missing a piece in the back, but it presents just better than this 4.0. So you always hear people say it, and it's absolutely true. Always buy the book, not the grade. You know, everyone's kind of got certain pet peeves, which I understand, things that bug them. Like, I'm really not a fan of getting books that have any sort of staple rust or water staining. If it ruins the eye appeal, I can't stand it. All right, next we have got 5 more books. We will start with this one I remember finding very clearly. I've got a copy of Lobo #1, which I'm sure I've showed off before. This is the origin and first appearance of Lobo, first African-American character to headline their own title. Dell, 1965. This one I distinctly remember finding at an outdoor flea market here. Guy just had a stack of low-grade books. I want to say it was like 30, 35 books. I mean, there was some EC, like Two-Fisted Tales. I can't remember what else was in there, but I had seen a video with this book. I think I got the stack for like $60, so it worked out to like $2 a book or something like that. And I always wondered what this was grayed out at, because it's got this nasty tear / tape pull here, but otherwise presents really nice. So it came back a 4.0 off white to white pages, which again is probably about what I thought. I figured if that piece was in there, it was more in the 6.0 range, something like that. But really it can be tough, at least for me, to grade out some of these older books when you see, you know, book will look beautiful and then I'll just have one like major defect. And next we have got a second copy, which I know I showed off last year. This one, I think I bought it slab, and I'm drawing a blank if it was a 3.0 or a 3.5, and I took a shot sending it in to get clean and press. It got a slight bump. I think the page quality went down, which is obviously disappointing, but I will probably be holding on to the one on the left, even though the eye appeal isn't as good due to that big tear. But I just love this story of how I found it. It's tough to let that one go. Those are the books, you know, when they got a cool story or where you found it or how you got your hands on it, those things have a little more meaning to them. So I will be keeping that one. All right, last 3. We are going to dive into some sci-fi here with some Planet Comics. We've got issue 45. This again is an antique store find, my local antique shop. I mentioned this dealer in feels like every video or every other video. Older gentleman, just has tons of jewelry and some comic books, and he has like a couple cases and one of them's locked, and periodically he mixes in some absolute gems. Most of his stuff is overpriced, but every so often you find a gorgeous book, and one year he had this Planet Comics in there. I thought it would be a little bit higher. It's got a big hole in the back cover, but a 4.0 off white to white pages. Presents again absolutely beautifully from the front. A little tear there, but you'll see what downgrades it. Fairly, you know, quarter size hole in the back cover there with some scuffing marks over the muscle man, but otherwise it's got a small tear on the bottom there too, a little bit of staining. But I think that is an absolutely beautiful presenting 4.0, so really happy with that. I've asked this guy before too. I bumped into him one time, and he's just not interested in kind of letting you cherry pick or ask for the books. So it's just check back and see what he puts in, and that's the only time I've ever seen the Planet Comics in there. All right, next, this one came out really nice. Really happy with this. Planet Comics 58. I think I got this with a stack of books from Dark Raven Comics at some point last year, maybe the year before, on Instagram. He's pretty local to me, and I've bought through him a few times. But again, Planet Comics 58. This one, 4.5 on white pages. This is a classic cover. Super happy with this. I can't remember. I think I bought 4 issues of Planet Comics from him in varying grades, and this one just came out super nice. Both of these, I think, are Joe Doolin on the cover. 58's Joe Doolin on the cover, and I don't know on 45. Anyways, absolutely beautiful on this one. Really happy with the white pages. Fiction House, 1949 on that one. Final book. Again, I think I picked it up last year, maybe in the winter, the start of the year, or maybe 2022 I picked it up. I think the comic store was in Pennsylvania. I think it was Dimension X, and this one also has a super cool story, which I told when I showed off the books I got there. Popped in the store, asked if he had Golden Age, showed me some books he had, and then he remembered he had an old suitcase. Just takes it out, this, you know, classic old suitcase with the locks and just a basic handle, and digging through it, and this was in there. America's Best Comics, number 21, Nidor Publications, 1947. Very cool. Alex Schoenberg, Infinity cover. I paid up for this, but it was just just a funny story. He just kind of dawns on him. Wait, I do have this old suitcase that I got years ago. I let one guy go through it once, and he picked out, I think he must have had some of the Suspense comics or something, because he said the guy bought it. It was like falling apart, and the guy spent $2,000 on it. So God knows what book was in there, but mostly like Archie's and books falling apart without covers, and randomly this America's Best 21 is in there, and super happy to grab it. I love the Infinity cover. Came back in 4 or 5, cream to off-white pages. Again, always hoping for the better page quality, but really nice presenting copy, so I'm not going to complain about that. These two probably also will be staying in the PC. So overall, pretty happy with these grades. No purple labels, which of course is always awesome. I had no idea. I really cannot spot restoration. It can be, especially the trimming, I think can be tricky, but overall, super stoked to have these books back. So that is it for the books, guys. Again, do me a favor, go down below, hit like, hit subscribe, and let me know what you think about these books.